Did you know that about 70% of employees feel micromanaged at work? This means that a significant portion of the workforce is under constant watch, leading to stress and low morale. Shocking, right? Studies show that micromanagement doesn't just frustrate employees. It can cost companies up to $550 billion a year in lost productivity. Micromanagement might seem like a way to keep things running smoothly, but it often backfires. When leaders hover over every detail, they stifle creativity and innovation. Employees become disengaged, and trust crumbles. In fact, according to Gallup, teams with low engagement are 21% less productive. So, what's the alternative? How can you become a leader who inspires rather than controls? In this video, we'll explore the dangers of micromanagement and reveal strategies to transform your leadership style. From building trust to effective delegation, you'll learn how to unleash your potential as a leader. Get ready to discover how letting go can actually help you lead better. Your journey to more empowered and productive leadership starts now. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Control. Why micromanagement feels safe but isn't. Micromanagement often starts with good intentions. As leaders, it's easy to think that being involved in every detail is the best way to ensure success. But this is a trap. The need to control everything may feel safe in the short term, but it's ultimately harmful. Studies show that leaders who micromanage tend to burn out faster and are less satisfied with their jobs. Here's why. Controlling every aspect of your team's work limits their ability to make decisions. Over time, this undermines their confidence and growth. In fact, a Gallup poll found that companies with highly engaged teams, where leaders trust and empower employees, are 21% more profitable than those with disengaged teams. This shows that giving your team space to succeed is not just good for morale, it's good for the bottom line too. Micromanagement can feel safe, but it comes at the cost of long-term success. Great leadership isn't about controlling everything, it's about trusting your people. As leadership expert Simon Sinek says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Trusting your team is the first step toward real growth. When you let go of that tight grip, you open the door to creativity, collaboration, and higher performance. Chapter 2. Drowning in details. How over-involvement derails leadership. When you micromanage, you're often drowning in details that aren't your responsibility. Sure, it might seem like handling the little things keeps everything on track. But in reality, it pulls you away from your core duties as a leader, like strategy, vision, and big-picture planning. If you spend your time checking everyone's to-do list, you're missing the chance to think about where your team should be in 5 years. In a study by the Harvard Business Review, leaders who focused on strategic thinking saw 50% more growth in their teams compared to those who got bogged down in daily operations. The lesson is simple. You can't lead if you're stuck in the weeds. Your role as a leader is to steer the ship, not adjust the sails every 5 minutes. Delegation is key here. Learning to delegate doesn't mean you're abandoning your responsibilities, it means you're trusting your team to handle theirs. As former General Electric CEO Jack Welch once said, if you pick the right people and give them the opportunity to spread their wings, you almost don't have to manage them. Let your team own the details, and you'll free yourself to focus on long-term goals. It's not about stepping back, it's about stepping up as a true leader. Chapter 3. The Creativity Chokehold. Why innovation dies under micromanagement. Micromanaging doesn't just kill motivation, it kills creativity. When employees are constantly monitored and corrected, they stop taking risks. They're too afraid to fail. And without failure, there's no innovation. Think about companies like Google or Netflix. Their leaders foster environments where employees are encouraged to experiment and even fail, because that's how groundbreaking ideas are born. In fact, research from Adobe shows that 80% of employees feel more creative when they are trusted to work independently. This statistic proves that innovation thrives in environments of trust and autonomy. If your team feels like every move they make is under a microscope, they'll stop thinking outside the box and start playing it safe. Steve Jobs famously said, "It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." When you let your team drive the creative process, you not only get more innovative ideas, you also create a culture of empowerment. Your job as a leader is to guide, not stifle. By loosening your grip, you allow your team to take ownership and come up with solutions you might never have thought of. If you're finding this helpful, consider subscribing for more insights on effective leadership strategies and how to empower your team to thrive. Chapter 4. The Silent Saboteur. How micromanagement erodes trust and team morale. Micromanagement might seem harmless at first, but it slowly chips away at trust. When leaders constantly hover over their team, it sends a clear message: I don't trust you to get this done right. Over time, this can devastate team morale. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, employees who feel trusted by their managers are 110% more likely to give extra effort at work. That's a huge difference. Without trust, employees won't feel valued, and when people don't feel valued, their motivation takes a nosedive. Micromanaging leads to disengaged employees who end up just going through the motions. Research from Gallup shows that disengaged employees cost companies up to $550 billion a year in lost productivity. That's a staggering number, and it's often a result of poor leadership. So how do you fix it? The first step is to actively build trust. Start by giving your team autonomy over their tasks. Let them know that you trust their judgment. Author Brené Brown puts it well when she says, "Trust is earned in the smallest moments." It's not about grand gestures, it's about letting your team own their work, even if that means small mistakes along the way. Over time, this builds loyalty, motivation, and a culture of high performance. Chapter 5. From hands-on to hands-off. The art of delegation without abdication. Delegation doesn't mean walking away entirely. There's a fine line between giving your team freedom and abandoning them. The key is to delegate effectively, with guidance and clear expectations. A great leader provides the vision but lets the team figure out the best way to get there. According to the Harvard Business Review, 30% of managers say they don't delegate because they fear losing control. But the reality is that effective delegation actually increases your control by empowering your team to handle more tasks on their own. When done right, it can lead to higher productivity and better results overall. Start small. If delegation feels uncomfortable, begin with smaller tasks and gradually hand off more responsibility. Be clear about what success looks like, but leave the how up to your team. As leadership coach John C. Maxwell says, if you want to do a few small things right, do them yourself. If you want to do great things and make a big impact, learn to delegate. Don't be afraid to offer support when needed, but avoid jumping in at the first sign of trouble. Trust your team to find solutions on their own. Not only will this build their confidence, but it will also free up your time to focus on strategic, big-picture leadership tasks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more tips on transforming your leadership style and fostering a culture of success within your team.